Here's another Momir Basic game, and I'm going to come right out and admit my opponent's got some pretty bad luck going on here. And it starts as early as turn 1, where, as far as I can tell, this guy just F6. As you see, he goes straight from his main phase to his end step on accident, and that means he misses his land drop and is going to have to pitch a card, which is an island. You'll notice in the chat window, he points out I'm dumb, shouting it. It's been a while, he says, and I don't blame him for that. I didn't even notice that chat window in the middle of the game. I was just so excited to get my free 2-drop here. I guess if I was trying to be a gentleman, I could have skipped my land drop on purpose, but that didn't occur to me until afterwards. So he decides he really needs a 1-drop just to block, because I'm way ahead at this point, and Golden Glow Moth is not a bad blocker. One of the few 1-drops that can be relevant at all. He blocks a little bit earlier than I think he should, but I guess if you're going to make a 1-drop, it's because you want to use it early. I get Tetsuo Umezawa, who's so good in this format. His activation is pretty expensive, but in a situation like this, where I'm going to be able to lock my opponent's board just completely out, he's so good. And that actually does make this block look a little bit better in retrospect, because later on, I would be able to just kill the guy, I think, before he can even... No, he has to be declared a blocker either way. So even looking back on it, I still disagree with this block. But he made it, and you do whatever you think you got to do. Thought Cutter Agent wasn't very good. That's the other thing, is this guy does not get amazing drops, which is part of why, this is some of the worst luck I've ever seen, apart from auto-lose guys like Countryside Crusher. Ninja of the Deep Hours is also really good, so I'm getting some pretty sweet guys, to be honest. If you block last turn, I suppose you gotta block again. Be consistent with your plan. That's always really important. With any game of Magic, whatever you're doing, if you set a course of action, you need to be consistent with it unless something major changes with the game. And so now he's going for a 3-drop. That is not amazing in this situation either. Let's be fair, there's not a whole lot of really good cards for him, especially since I drew my island now. So my Umezawa is online. And, you could say the right play for me here is to attack with the Umezawa and the Pridemate, knowing he's probably going to block the Umezawa, but I want to at least give my Ninja of the Deep Hours a chance to get the damage, just in case he decides he wants to double block something later. But that's not what happens. He tries to block the Ninja, and I decide to go ahead and activate Tetsuo Umezawa just because I'm so far ahead on the board that with the Umezawa I can just kill every guy he plays from now on until he chooses not to block with one of them. And even then, Umezawa can be used as a blocker and kill a guy. He sacks his Aristocrat, I guess, just to deny me the satisfaction of killing his guy with my ability, and I respect that. Now, his 4-drop was Ulasht the Hate Seed. And when you don't have any other red or green creatures on the battlefield, he just dies. So, well, that's not what he says, but in effect, that's what happens. So, again, not very good luck on his part. His 4-drop was non-existent. He accidentally skipped his first turn. And like I say, with Umezawa, I can just pretty much negate every play he makes going forward. So I don't see how he gets out of this. This is a Kavu Howler. Not anything big or impressive, but it's a big enough guy that I'm satisfied with it, especially since I'm going to draw a card off this Ninja of the Deep Hours. Why, yes, I would like to use the ability. Again, I could have taken it a little bit easier on this guy, but this is actually a full match. We were doing best of 3, and this is game 1. So it's probably better that I just went ahead and took advantage of the opportunity. Sky Claw, Thrash. Normally, he's borderline playable, kind of, but in this situation where, like I said, I just have him locked out of this game. He can't afford to block. He can't afford not to block. So he would have to get like a spectacular drop at any point in the curve to get out of this situation. And I would probably block the Howler if I was him, I think. But no, he wants to block the Ninja of the Deep Hours. And ultimately, it doesn't matter, because I'm not going to let him actually kill anybody. And so he's down to... Well, I mean, he is only at 11. I mean, he still has 11 life. And none of my guys are that big, so... And he gets his Zacian. And because blue happens to be the most common type, it is a 3/4 creature, rather than its normal 5/6 stats. But even as a 5/6, it wouldn't get him out of it, so he would have needed a good way to stop my attacks. So now we're going to go on to the second game in the match. This will end up being one of the quickest matches you've ever seen in your life, probably, because his luck does not really get any better coming into game 2. And he's chosen to go first. I would not like to mulligan to 6. And we're off to the races. He makes his first land drop this time, so already a significant improvement on his part, but like I said, it doesn't really pan out from the whole game. Just misclicks and bad drops. I hate to spoil the ending, but you know, you can't really call it spoiling when it turns out so badly. So he doesn't feel like making a 2-drop, and I guess he just thinks that because he's down, he really needs to be more conservative with his plays, give himself the best chance of winning. Since I'm up a game, I figure why not get a little aggressive, go ahead, make a 2-drop, see what we get. It turns out to be a lore broker who isn't impressive by any means. Obviously, I was a bit disappointed, but given the way his luck played out last time, I can't really complain here. And so I'm going to pass, expecting a 3-drop here, because 3 is where most people start making their drops in this format, and it's good to have a guy that can block. Although, he ends up getting a Gatehound. Yeah, that's not likely to ever turn online here, and he has the same stats as my 2-drop, but he spent 1 more mana on it. Kind of makes you wish they'd not let you get guys like that. You know, whoever writes the random algorithm sort of wish they would just take things like Gatehound and Lore Broker out, but I suppose that would diminish from the fun if you took all the whammies out of the game, so to speak. And Kami of the Hunt, it's just standard 2/2 for 3, nothing that fancy. Once again, I'm fully expecting a trade here, so I'm just going to run this guy in there. And he doesn't feel like it's a worthwhile trade, and I can't blame him either. It's only 1 damage. And having a guy to gang block later can be worthwhile, although you actually need a second creature. And once again, his 4-drop, this time it's a Nova Chaser. Since he doesn't have an elemental to champion, he's not going to be sticking around. And that makes the second relatively big creature of his match that doesn't actually stay on the battlefield. So at this point in the game, he's spent a combined 7 mana just to get that 1/1 creature, who's probably not going to do anything. And yeah, there's not a whole lot else I can say here. It's just not working out for him. But that happens. I'm sure it's happened to you some. It happens to me plenty. And I guess I just want to let you know you're not alone. Oh, here's a 2/2 flyer. That's just evasion, whatever. But like I say, moral of the story here is sometimes you get bad luck, sometimes your opponent gets bad luck, so you just gotta accept that that's part of the format and deal with it. I guess as a lesson, you can say be careful with the F6 button. because I think that's what my opponent just did here. You may notice he's lost connection, and I guess to be fair, like I say, the guy spent 7 mana. He has a 1/1 to show for it, and he's F6'd twice in this match already. So he goes ahead and he just rage quits. And I put him on the clock. Then I sit here for a little bit until I get the win. You guys don't need to see all of that, of course, and I didn't feel like recording all of it. But yeah, the next time you get a bad beats, just try to think about this guy here, Mr. Mall 558, who yeah, is honestly some of the worst luck I've ever seen. Granted, some of it was self-inflicted, but what are you gonna do? Better luck next time.